Hey, hello guys, welcome to another jQuery video tutorial. And in this video we will learn how to use the Ajax function or the Ajax method in jQuery, okay, to send a request to our PHP script, which is going to be in a PHP file that we will create. And then I'm going to show you also how to request that how to make that request and returning a value via JSON encode. Okay, so the first thing I want you guys to do is to create this page. Okay, your HTML tags, your head, and the body, and also of course you have to create this script tag with the jQuery load file. And down here we can start creating our jQuery code. But first I want you guys to go to the body section, and here type input, type equals, and let's create text. And in here let's give it an ID, which is going to be user name. And let's call this, let's give it a name as well. That's it. Now down here, let's type input, type equals, and let's type password. ID equals password, and name equals password. And of course here let's create also line break, and here as well. Here we can put a before paragraph, give a little bit more space, and now input type equals, and here we can type submit, and button, and ID equals button, and here we can type name equals button. Instead of name, let's type value, and let's type submit. Okay, so we are done with this little form, and we didn't put the form tags because in this example we don't need to put this between a form. Okay, so this is not going to be a form. We will use only a simple example of two inputs and then a button that we will use to grab those two input or those two values in the inputs and send those to the PHP script. Okay, and of course if this was a form, we had to use the submit here. Okay, but then we had to return false in our jQuery, or in here type on submit equals return false. Okay, but we're not going to use any form tags in this video. I'm going to show you in the next video how to use a form and how to do that, okay, with the return false, and how to send values with a form. But we will not do that in this video. Okay, so just type these and save those. Let's save this file, save as. You have to save the file in your htdocs. So let's go to XAMPP, htdocs, and let's call this, I'm going to call it ajax.html. So I can open this in the browser, localhost.ajax.html, and oops, of course, you have to start your Apache server in your XAMPP control panel and refresh. And okay, have a problem. Input type button, save, refresh. There it is. Okay, so we can even type here name and here password. Refresh. Okay, perfect. So the next thing we have to do is start creating our jQuery code. Or before that, let's create now the PHP file. Okay, so let's open a new file here. And for now, let's just type this. So let's create a variable that will hold the value of username, and another variable that will hold the value of request and password. Okay, and to make it clearer, let's call this name and password. Okay, perfect. So let's just save this. Also in your htdocs, save as htdocs, and let's save this as ajax.php. And okay, let's return back to our ajax.html, and let's start our jQuery. So the first thing we have to type is document ready function parentheses and all this. Now that we have the function that certifies that, as you already know, this line of code certifies that our web page is full loaded, our DOM is full loaded in the web page. So now we can run the jQuery code. So the first thing I want to do is to grab the value button, okay, and use the click function that we already use so many times. So whenever we click the button, something is going to be triggered. So button is the ID dot click and function parentheses and curly braces. And here semicolon, and now here after we click the button, I want to grab also the result. Where is it? Oh, we have to create a div. We have to create here, let's create a simple div. Simple div ID equals let's call this results and div, close div. Okay, so this is a div that we're gonna grab to output something, okay, the return values or strings from our PHP script. Okay, so here we type result dot HTML. Sorry, we will do that later. So the next thing we want to do is create two variables. One variable to grab the value of the name and another of the password. Okay, so what we do is, let's call this send username, send you, and now we type, we already saw how to do this also in some videos before. So now we type username, which is the ID of the input username, and val is the function that will grab the value. And now we can do the same thing for the password. So send p, and this is going to be password dot val. Okay, so perfect. Now is where I'm going to show you how you can type or create your first Ajax request. Okay, so type the $sign dot Ajax and parentheses. Inside the parentheses, curly braces, and here as well you have to type semicolon then at the end. And now here we have to type this type, which is going to be either get or post. Okay, and I'm going to use post for now. And now you type not semicolon but colon. Okay, pay attention, because a lot of times even myself put a semicolon here, which is not correct. It's a colon. Okay, otherwise your code will not work. So type post, and now you type URL equals and I forgot another thing. This is not equal, is colon. Okay, so it's a very tricky code, colon. And here URL is where this request is going to be sent. Okay, to whatever PHP file. In this example, I'm going to send to the ajax.php. So we type ajax.php. Of course, Ajax is in the same directory, so we have to type only the name. Down here we have to type data, which basically is what do you want to send to that file, PHP file. Okay, so what I want to send is the name and the password values. So I have to type in the form of URL or URI, as we normally send via post. So we type username and equals, and now we type here plus send you plus double quotes and password equals the plus sign concatenate, and now we type send p. Okay, this simply line of code will send the variables or the parameters username and password. Okay, username and password with the values of these variables. Okay, so now down here we type data type equals, semicolon, and here we type JSON. Okay, which means we are sending these values, okay, that I want to be returned in JSON. Okay, there will be the request is going to be sent in normal with normal data, but they will be it's going to be returned as a JSON object. Okay, so data type JSON, and now we type success, which means basically if there's a if the request has been successfully sent and returned, do this function, which is a function that can hold 3 different parameters, and the parameters are going to be I'm going to call them MSG and string and GQXHR. Okay, and you can call these parameters whatever you want, but in the order basically is this first order means whatever data is returned. Okay, this second parameter is a string that will say either if the request has been successful, has an error, or has been failed. Okay, and this third parameter is the object, the HTML, XML, HTTP request object. Okay, in jQuery we no longer call the XML HTTP request. Instead of that, the name that jQuery uses now for that object is the GQXHR. Okay, and so if you see any document or tutorial or manual with a GQXHR, this means the XML HTTP request that we already studied in Ajax tutorials. Okay, so now we can type these, and you have a lot of documentation in jQuery official website. Okay, you can go there and study a little bit more these Ajax forms. So now we type function here. Sorry, we grab the result ID dot HTML to output something, but for now let's output the 3 parameters so that you will see what they have or they output. So XHR and semicolon. Okay, so we are done for now, and now let's complete the PHP file. So now we have this, and what I'm going to do now is let's create a variable called list. It's going to be equal to an array, and I'm going to call this name. So I'm going to create an associative array, okay, and then encode it in JSON format to return those values to our jQuery script. Okay, so name, and here we can type password, and oops, this is not right. This is name, and this is password. Okay, so name, which is this variable, password. Perfect. So now down here, I already showed you how to encode JSON in the JSON tutorials, but if you don't know, you just have to type JSON and code. Oops. JSON and code, parentheses, and inside of parentheses the variable that holds the array, the associative array, okay, which is list, and then echo C. C. Okay, perfect. So this will output, of course, a JSON encoded array, okay, or encoded data. So let's save this. Perfect. Okay, let us output now Victor. Let's type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you click submit, you have an object return a success string and then an object again. So basically this means that we have returned an object, MSG, which is a JSON format. Okay, so we have to decode that format or that object, and then we have a string saying successful, and the GQXHR, which is the object, XML HTTP request object. Okay, so it worked because we have returned a string saying successful. What I want to grab now is the MSG, but in the form of JSON, and to grab that information, either name or password, what we have to do is either type name, name, and you can type here, let's say, plus, double quotes, line break, and plus again, and we can type here MSG dot password. Okay, this name and password stands for these values here, okay, in the associative array, name and password. Okay, the output, of course, is going to be whatever we typed in the field password and name. So let's see if that works. So name and password, line break there. Okay, let's refresh. Let's type Victor, and here the password is going to be 12345. Click submit, and there it is. Okay, Victor and 12345. Okay, of course this is just to show you how you can put an associative array and return the values of it. Okay, so it can be either you can put an if statement here now and say if name and password exists, or if name and password are correct, or you can even make a database, a MySQL database connection to search if name and password are correct as a login system, and if they are, check those passwords and names, and if they are okay, echo out whatever string you have in an associative array. Okay, and you can build an associative array with a lot of different messages, either errors or messages for you to advise your user what the error is. Okay, either a wrong password or a wrong username. So you can pretty much do whatever you want with an associative array, and then you have to encode it in JSON format and return that JSON format so that you can echo out whatever you want. Okay, you can also use as we normally do without any arrays at all. Okay, just put here an if statement, check the username and password, and if they exist, return or echo out whatever you want to. Okay, and then in here, instead of putting this, you just would have to delete this. Okay, and leave that like this. Okay, so you could echo out a normal message. So this is how we can use use JSON and how we use the Ajax method in jQuery. Okay, and that's it. Basically, that's it. If you have any questions at all, just send me a message, and I'll try to explain you or try to help you out. Okay, see you.